Hi, Ted.
Hey, Ray.
Hi, everyone, and welcome, Ted, to the Soul Chat with Ray. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
That's good. Good. I'm so happy to do this, and I'm excited to do this. For those of you that are tuning in, I'm going to let Ted introduce himself, but I do want to say something to Ted and take this opportunity because a year ago, Ted interviewed me on his show, the Ted Huff Show.
Yeah.
He has been such a pillar and staple in my life, and I'm so grateful to you, Ted, for your inspiration and all the work that you're doing. Because not only did I already had an online presence on the internet and on YouTube, but you motivated and inspired me to do a show, to do what you do. Basically, is like interviewing guests and
Yeah.
having my own show and kind of stepping outside of my shell. I've always been kind of reserved. So I just wanted to say thank you and start off the show by showing my gratitude to you, because I don't think I've ever told you this in our chats, our private chats, but I'm so grateful for you and all the work, the hard work that you're doing. You are inspiring so many people. So thank you for being you, and I'll hand it over to you so you can tell the audience who you are, what you do. Who is Ted?
Well, that's a loaded question, Ray, but I appreciate you asking. So, my name's Ted Huff, everybody. As Ray's mentioned before, I am an entrepreneur. I am the host of the Ted Huff Show, and my job and really what I'm doing and what I'm working on is helping people connect with other people, and not just other people, but with themselves.
Right.
And that could be through stories that I share on the Ted Huff Show. We have a new episode dropping tomorrow. So you go, like, click, subscribe, all that
I
fun
saw
stuff.
that.
So we're going to be premiering a new episode tomorrow. And I bring entrepreneurs, I bring spiritual leaders like Ray on the show. I bring on people that just have amazing stories, and they embrace the imperfections that have been going on throughout their life and how they got through it. And at the end of every show, we help everybody learn some tactics on how to move their life forward for life, whether it be business, relationship, whatever it is you're looking for. We're always giving you 3 things you can take away right away.
Absolutely, and I love that. And I've noticed that you amped up your game, Mister. You the setup for your interviews now are so professional. I'm like, am I looking at Oprah here?
No,
I
and
really
that's
noticed it.
right, but that's the biggest deal is that I want to bring the highest quality content to
Yes,
everybody. So I started out, no joke, I started out with my GoPro. That was my first thing. I started
yes,
out with that. Then I picked up another camera so I could get a little bit better. Now I'm shooting with 3 cameras. I've got 5 lights going on. I've got microphones. I've got it all going. But the whole purpose behind that is because I want it to be an enjoyable experience that people
yes.
will come back to. And so I don't do that just to have cool toys, even though my wife thinks I do.
No, I understand the whole concept, and I respect you as a professional. My setup, I need to amp up my game, but I was just that's outstanding. I was looking at your your previous interview that you did with the gentleman that about was it like what was his
Oh,
name?
Calvin Wayman.
Calvin
Yeah.
Wayne. Yes, that one.
No, I
Yes.
love Calvin.
Yeah,
Love Calvin.
he's awesome. And I was listening to that podcast. I still need to catch up to all of your podcasts. I've been so busy, but they're so interesting and so inspiring. And a lot of the people that you interview, like you say, they come from different backgrounds. And
Hmm.
I feel like your platform is very beneficial to the audience that are tuning in today, because a lot of them out there, y'all may be having some questions about starting your own business up, or you're an
Hmm.
entrepreneur and you have a lot of these fears. And Ted, one of the things that Ted does, I consider Ted a mentor, a business mentor, because he's always given me advice behind the scenes for my business and how to present myself to the public. And this is invaluable things that people pay thousands of dollars to go to, like courses or workshops, which Ted does go to a lot of workshops and conferences.
That I
And so
do.
that's why he's so darn good at it. But, having that kind of friend and connection is beyond words. And I'm so grateful again to you, Ted, for everything that you do and you're continuing to do. So guys, those of you that are tuning in today, if you have any questions for Ted, be sure to comment, and we will be getting to your questions after after we go through some of the things I want to ask Ted on the show today. So, Ted, you told us a little bit about yourself. I'm interested in knowing, what do you do for wellness? What makes Ted relax?
Oh,
Mind, body, and spirit. Like, what
yeah. Wait,
techniques? Meditation, yoga, tai chi. What do you do?
yeah. So, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I don't do a whole lot of exercise. I think the most exercise I get is as often as I can is that I go for a walk with my wife and our dogs around the neighborhood just for a couple of miles and just kind of get some movement, get out in the sun. But some of the big things that I do for wellness is every morning I do some sort of meditation. I bounce through a whole bunch of different types. It really depends on the thing that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Calvin Wayman's episode, we talked about the Calm app. If you're struggling to do meditation and you want to learn how, they have ways to do it that starts you out at like 3 minutes,
Right.
4 minutes, 5 minutes. But I also use other forms of meditation too as well, depending on where my mindset is at. And that's really what I do. But one of the biggest things that has changed my well-being is, as you well know, Ray, I've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism.
Yes.
I have allergies to all
Me
of the
too.
modern foods. So I've pretty much had to go paleo and or ketogenic in order to stay energized. And I have a metabolic specialist that I go to, but let's get away from all the things that I do. But the key piece that I want to tell everybody is that the thing that has changed the most for me is doing two things. Number one is, as often as I possibly can, I sit outside, no sunglasses, nothing, as the sun comes up. So until the sun hits about 15 degrees. So from 0 to 15 degrees, which is about 30 minutes. So it's not that long.
No.
And then at the end of the day, as frequently as I can, I like to sit outside facing the sunset from about 15 degrees to sunset, which is again it's actually less time in the evening. It's only about 15, only about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I've noticed you've done that, and I've seen a lot of your Instagram stories. You're always, vlogging from outside or when you're going. And I think the people that are tuning in today, all of our audience, your fans, my fans, it's good for them to understand that sometimes we just make excuses that we are not, we're too busy to meditate and we're too busy for that. But at the end of the day, you're, causing a lot of nervousness and probably a lot of your stress as well.
Definitely.
And you're not going to be able to, contribute the way that, or operate the way that you would, or even do your work and carry that out the way that you would like to for, the whole day, because you're lacking energy, you're tired, you're stressed out. So we all need to meditate. I feel like it's very beneficial. And I love that you said that, Ted, that you use different techniques, because I think a lot of people also have a big misconception, and they think that meditation is someone just sitting in a dark room with their eyes closed, sitting Indian style, and just, not doing anything. And so, hi, Seth, and hi, everyone that's joining. Somebody's asking what is going on. We're doing an interview with my host, my guest, Ted Huff. So thank you for all being here. So
Ray, one of the things that you brought up is that people feel they don't have enough time. And one of my favorite quotes about meditation comes from Russell Simmons. He says, if you feel like you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, you need 5 hours of meditation.
So true. It's so true.
And when you're thinking about meditation, don't think that it has to be an empty mind. The idea of meditation is to let the thoughts happen and recognize that they are happening and bring yourself back. So using guided meditation is a great way to get started. And then once you feel, I've been doing this consistently, and I say consistently for since about February. So just a few months. Typically, it was just whenever I felt stressed, I would do it. But I've noticed that I don't get stressed as often when I do it, now that I've been doing it consistently.
And I noticed something different about you, because I'm your friend, and I watched Ted's, I'm not a stalker, I promise. But I watched Ted's, his show, and watch his Instagram stories, and I follow him. And I noticed his demeanor has changed. He's a lot happier. You can just tell if there's a balance in Ted. And that happens typically like when you start taking care of yourself, because a lot of us, we just don't do that. And for me, what I use for meditation, I like to listen to the sound of the ocean. So I will put on my headsets, and I have the noise canceling headset, so I don't have any noise in the background or disturbance. And I'll just listen to that, or I'll listen to the 432 hertz frequency, or 936 hertz frequency. And I listen to these frequencies because I notice it helps my vibration during the daytime, and specifically with the work that I do as a medium. It's very stressful because we're carrying on energies, etc. So this helps us out a lot. I wanted to ask you, are you into crystals at all? I know your wife is, but
yeah. So before we move on to that, if anybody has a question about the meditations that I use and everything, just shoot me a DM. I'll be more than happy to send you a link to a couple different places that have some great meditations that will really help you out. But as far as crystals go, I have crystals everywhere. As a matter of fact, I've got some right over here in my little Zen garden. I got myself a little Zen garden over here that I've got some crystals in. I've got crystals sitting over on this side over here, and just realistically, the crystals, I feel that having the right ones in the right places in the room. I'm in my office / studio, and it really helps manage the energy or drive the energy that I want. And I think that's a big piece that a lot of people don't understand, is that you have complete control over your environment. Whether you want to admit it or not, you have complete control over it. Whether it's between the two ears or whether it's surrounding you, you have control. And use any tool that you can, whether it be crystals, whether it be if you sage the room. I mean, you can use so many different ways to do it. It was interesting. Yesterday, I was with my friend Henry Amar, and we had a pop-up workshop about fear to freedom. And we're standing around talking to everybody afterwards at One Tribe Yoga here in Tempe, Arizona. And Jason, the owner, walks in after we got done, and he's like, he just starts walking through staging, and he does that frequently. It wasn't because we were there, but it's because he does it frequently, and it's amazing just that feeling that it gives everybody.
Yeah, it's, you know, those are holistic practices and spiritual practices, and I love using sage as well to clear like the
Somebody just posted, is there a book for crystals for dummies? Ray, is there one of those? If not, man, you got to write it. You got to write it. If there isn't one, you got to write it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's a book for crystals for dummies, but, you know, it's like there's no right or wrong thing with crystals. And I tell people, how do you know what's the right crystal for yourself? If you have like a botanica or some type of metaphysical store or spiritual shop, go into it. And they usually carry crystals, and hold them in your hand and see which one you feel comfortable with. Some people are very sensitive to different types of crystals, and some people are not. You know, it doesn't matter what crystal it is, but sometimes that helps, you know, you choose what is the best crystal for yourself. I wanted to also ask you about, you know, everything that you do. There's always, you're very meticulous in everything that you do. You're a very detail-oriented person, very organized, I must say. And everything is carried out in a certain manner. Have you, throughout all of this past year that you've done the Ted Huff show, and you've been flying out to conferences and stuff, have you encountered any kind of situation that made you kind of say, well, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. How do I handle this in a way that I don't respond to that negativity? And it ties into the last thing that you said, because I think, like you said, we are all able to control how we react to other people. And if we start losing our calmness or our peace, it's not their fault because they said something that was untrue, or they said something that may, you know, just be something that they're venting towards or throwing towards us, energetically speaking. But we are ultimately responsible for our own happiness, and no one else is responsible for that. Yeah. So have you had any kind of situation that, and you don't have to go into details because I respect the privacy and the confidentiality.
Yeah, no worries. You know, and so the thing is that my answer is, have I had that? Yes, every single day, every day. And if anybody tells you that they don't have a day where they struggle with something,
they're lying.
Exactly, they're lying to you. And the reason, but the thing to think about is when something happens and an emotion comes up. This is something that I've learned from a lot of different things that conferences I've went to, people that I've met. I have stopped looking at it as why did this just happen to me,
Mm-hmm.
or why did they do that? And I've really started to say, why do I feel that way?
Right.
So why am I angry that, or why do I have that feeling of anger because I wanted to get on a flight earlier so I could get home? Oh, I'm angry because I'm frustrated because I'm stuck at the airport and I want to get home, but they don't have to put me on that flight.
Yeah.
So those are one of the things that has happened. I
So
have
you,
things.
you kind of catch yourself before you get into that
Oh yeah,
negative mind space, because once you get into that, it's like a roller coaster ride for the unpredictable. It's just
yeah,
like
you
some
have
people,
to.
you see people, and I would like to use this example. You see people on the road every day, and you see one car going slow or driving slow in front of you, and you pass them up and you throw them the finger, give them the bird,
But
and
do you
you
know
get
why they were driving that slow?
exactly.
Could they not feel good? Maybe did they get something in their eye and they don't want to crash the car and they're trying to find somewhere to pull off?
Exactly.
Did it,
And then you have to stop at that red stoplight eventually.
and you're
So
right next to them.
exactly. So I'm like, what was the whole point of losing your calmness and getting angry and upset over something so minute? We spend so much of
Right.
our life, losing on minor details and just petty things that really and truly we could use that time and energy on bettering ourselves and
Definitely. Ray,
helping
one of the things that I want to make everybody understand, be very clear on, is that um, the first piece of being able to take that next step and really start to control the emotions isn't to control the emotion or not to understand why the emotion is happening. The first step is recognizing that you're having the emotion and recognizing that something triggered the emotion. That is the first step. The second step is figuring out what triggered that emotion. And then so after you've gotten through, oh, I had this emotion, this triggered it, after a little while, then you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is happening often enough. So the next step is, okay, so why am I having
why.
this emotion? So don't think that you have to go all the way to the why right away. Just recognizing it already breaks the pattern.
And even though Ted and I sit here and we're talking about our own experiences, because I'm the same way as Ted. I'm catching myself and I'm still growing. But we have our moments where we still get pissed off, and
Oh
excuse
yeah,
our language,
I'll
because
spin up. I'll spin up
yeah,
all the
because
time.
we're human. We're not perfect. And I think a lot of people, when they hear a spiritual person or someone who is just a leadership in their profession, they think that because they've mastered a certain level of success that they don't get pissed off or they don't get angry or upset. And you'd be
Yeah,
surprised that
yeah.
the people who are business oriented and that are successful in their businesses, they roll their eyes constantly behind the screen. They're throwing things possibly, and there's just different ways
Well, I
that
don't
people
throw
handle.
things. I don't throw things.
No, but there's a lot of people that handle stress differently. Stress balls, squeezing that thing to until it's like shriveled up.
I think the biggest piece is that once you start to recognize it, something that may have given you a bad month
Yeah.
now gives you a bad week. And then from a bad week, it goes to a bad day. And from a bad day, it goes to a bad hour. From a bad hour, it goes to a bad 30 minutes. And then from there, it goes down to a couple minutes.
And
So
then not
more
only
you
that,
catch yourself.
but like you said, very important, very powerful, your message and what you said, because when you are angry or upset at something that you could prevent, it's not only affecting you, but if you go home to your wife or your children or your partner, it's going to affect everybody, because everybody
Oh,
now
totally.
is going to start picking up your energy. They're going to start seeing that your demeanor is different. You're not the same. You're not talkative. You're angry. And they're wondering, what's going on. And then they start picking up on that if they're an empath or they're very, so it's like you said, you just gave so much wisdom. Wow.
Well, one big thing also is you're talking about the energy. And I'm a firm believer that as soon as you are trying to fight against something in yourself, you put up this wall or put yourself in a silo where nothing can get in. So you've just, by allowing that emotion, that negative emotion to continue to happen, you've just said no to everything else, whether you call it a higher power, God, the
Yes.
universe, whatever you call it. You just told them, I am not ready to receive anything good.
Exactly.
And so the
It
faster
creates
you can get past
stagnation.
that, it
Yeah, it
does.
does. It creates stagnation and it blocks blessings and things from manifesting. For those of you that
Definitely.
are listening and believe in, is it Eckhart Tolle or,
Eckhart
some of
Tolle?
the, yeah, it Tolle. And then, all of the, what's the other professional, I don't follow them too much, but there's another one out there. I can't remember on my mind right now, but, laws of attraction is what I'm getting at. It's like you said, the laws of attraction that exist, we block a lot of those things from manifesting in our life because we just,
Yeah, Louise Hay and
get,
the law of attraction. You've got Eckhart Tolle. I mean, everybody, if you really look at it, every spiritual book that has ever been written is all about the law of attraction, the power of manifestation. They all are about that. Even looking at the Bible, if you look at the Bible, you look at the Quran, you look at any text that is around spirituality or around religion, it all comes back to the being able to control your mind, control your thoughts, control yourself. And that's a big one.
I have LMB Navi 27 asked me, Ray, what stone is your necklace? It's so beautiful. Thank you. It's actually what Ted's wife picked out for me for my 37th birthday and a photo shoot that I had in San Antonio, Texas. It's a rainbow titanium aura quartz, and so it changes colors, and it's very beautiful. I really, really love it. So thank you, Jen, if she's there tuning in. If not, Ted, just tell her I said thank you. She knows.
Yeah, she's not here right now.
Okay.
She's off. We're heading on vacation tomorrow morning. Yeah, definitely. So she's off getting the last minute touches together. She's the one that really helps me put systems in place. But I want to hit up Search for Everything 629.
Yes, I saw her question.
Meditation is amazing for PTSD. I have friends that suffer from PTSD, and the other thing to match up with it, if you haven't tried it, and it's going to be hard, so just bear with me, it's going to be hard, but if you can find a float tank, and you do a float tank, and you do that, just send me a DM and I'll give you a whole bunch of, there's some really cool stuff that my friends that do a lot of PTSD research. I also, actually, hey, Kaleidoscopes, he's on, Heath, my friend, traumatic brain injury. He's got a lot of things that he does as well. Again, my job is to connect you with yourself and other people. So definitely reach out to me and I'll give you a lot of really good things that can help you through that.
Thank you, Ted, for answering that question. And thank you, Search 629, for asking that. Ted, I wanted to also talk about and learn a little bit more about you. I know a little bit about you, but as far as like your life and when you were growing up, at any point did you, like when you became an adult and you got into your your work mode and working different jobs, did you ever feel like your career, you needed to change careers at any given time? And did you feel bad about that? Like, did you feel like defeated that you gave up on something?
Oh my gosh, Ray. Oh my goodness, man. The first time that I gave up on a dream that I can remember, was I wanted to go to art school, and I didn't do the work that was required. I did what I wanted to do, and I did it to the best of my ability, and it was killer. I mean, it just kicked butt, right?
Yeah.
But that isn't what they wanted to see. And because it isn't what they wanted to see, they said, hey, Ted, this is all really good, but not for us. And so I took that personally.
Yeah.
And decided to go down to the recruiter's office and join the military. Yeah, I know. Creative, military, yeah, they don't really match up very well.
But I didn't know about the art thing. That's
Yeah. So my passion has been around creative things, whether it's commercial design, industrial design, user experience design, anything to evoke an emotion visually, that's always been my thing. I've always loved that. But that was like the very first one that hit me. But through I got in the military, and for those of you who don't know, it's not easy to get out of the military once you're in. So once I got out of the military, I was like, I've got to try everything. And Ray, within like 2-3 years of my early 20s, I probably had 50 jobs.
Okay,
I
so
was
I'm going to stop you
trying
right there.
everything.
Guys, if you're listening to Ted and you are struggling with your jobs, you've been changing like every so often, like Ted said, 50 jobs, there's a lot of you out there that have done that or are in the process of doing that. Ted, what do you advise them to do? Like, don't give up, right?
Don't give up. But the most important thing that I can say is that don't do one at a time. So do as many as you can, and do and don't just do it to have a job. So yes, you may have to have one that helps you pay the bills, but find all the other different things that you may have an interest or a passion in. Mine at the time is like, I worked at UPS at one point in time, but I love music. So I was DJing at a nightclub, but at the same time, I was personal training people during the day.
Wow.
And on top of that, I was also selling merchant services to make some extra cash. So I was doing all these different things, right? And I had the creative side of me being able to do the music. And then I had the wanting to help people side with the personal training. And I had the analytical side of me
the nerd side.
in the business. Exactly. So in the business, and then the UPS thing was the thing that was generating the money. And eventually I let the UPS thing go.
Right.
And then, I met my wife and everything. And I decided that I needed to find the thing that was going to be able to help us grow and move forward. So I set the DJ thing aside because I didn't want to be that 40-some-year-old DJ at a nightclub in a small town. Because that really wasn't going to move me forward to help me provide for the family.
So
but that's really what
kind of stepped outside of your comfort zones.
Oh,
and
always
went up to the next level of what you could possibly do, not settling because it felt comfortable and staying there because you knew ultimately you wouldn't grow from that.
Definitely. And the one thing that if I were to give any advice to anybody is get a little bit of experience at the lowest possible level in a business that you want to do. If you want to own a McDonald's, figure out a way to clean the toilets. Get the job cleaning the toilets, mopping the floors, whatever it is. Get in there so you can see everything that goes on around there and determine whether or not that's what you want to do. It's an easy way. And if you quit at that job, it's okay. But once you find a business that you really like, then it's time to double down. Do as much self-education you can on that business, on that genre, on that vertical, on everything that you can, and then shoot for the stars.
I love that you said that, get your hands dirty and start at the lowest level job that you can if you can. Not everybody's life is different and path. I know for myself, like you, I started off working in a call center, and then I did retail at Hobby Lobby. I worked as a cashier, and in Hobby Lobby I did janitorial work. I had to scrub floors. I had to mop floors. And so it's like you said, I learned through that. It was a very humbling experience, going from a customer care to doing like manual labor. It was very humbling for me, and I learned to appreciate the things that I have now in my life and where I'm at as a professional, doing and having my own business and doing all of this as an entrepreneur. It's helped me. And I, like you, I have, different projects that I'm involved, different jobs, and I'm not just doing psychic work. I'm an author, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a vlogger, I'm a blogger, I'm a content creator. So there's different things that I'm doing, and I feel like it kind of feeds my soul and my purpose. Doing everything. If you just are doing one thing, it gets monotonous and it gets very, just boring. Some people get bored out of that. You need to change it up.
So one thing that I would also mention is find yourself a support system. It doesn't have to be your family, and most times it's not going to be your family, because they are going to want what is most safe for you. So the
Yes.
thing that they feel safe with you doing, that's what they're going to want for you. Now you may have a few outliers in the family who are like will push you to really do it, but typically you're going to want to find people who are doing what you want to do or going the direction you want to go, or even somebody who's at the same place you are that
Yes.
wants to take it to that next level, and then you can bounce the ideas off of each other to get going and move yourself forward. Because my first job, Ray, was washing dishes
Yes.
at a restaurant. That was my very first job. Um,
And there's
my
nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people now, the younger generations that are growing up, I don't know what it is with our culture, with the younger generation, but there's a sense of entitlement that, I don't want to start working at washing dishes in a restaurant. I don't want to be a waitress or a server, or a busboy. And it's like,
mm-hmm.
you can't jump to being an executive level web designer, right, or, corporate guru without having to have some kind of premise or beginning roots. And
do you mind
foundation.
Do you mind if I give kind of like my thoughts on why
Absolutely.
That's happening? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that no one has, I shouldn't say no one, but those who feel like they should be at that level already haven't had someone to lean on to guide them to understand the pieces that need to happen to get there. Yes. They see, like my kids see me at the level that I'm at. I'm an executive at a company and I do a bunch of stuff on top of all this other fun stuff, but they see the after picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't had a chance to see the before picture. And without someone saying, hey, here's the before picture and here's the way that you really get started, and here's what learning these lower level things are going to do for you. If you learn these lower level things and you start down here, it will actually accelerate your growth. And by jumping ahead, all you're doing is setting yourself further back. And one of my friends, Howie Fields, I always, in my mind, it's Howie Hustle, but Howie Fields says, he's like, you gotta start. But if you try and jump ahead, you're just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah. And it's so true. That's so true. I, myself, having been, in doing different types of work and different type of fields, it really has helped me. Everything that we do as a whole together, all our jobs that we've had throughout our life, it all prepares us. Like when I would go to school, when I was in college and before I graduated college, I was studying business and I was like, why am I needing to take math courses? Why am I needing to take algebra and, do all this work? I'm not going to really use it in my, in my work. But
it's not about the numbers. It's about
exactly.
The ability to have the thought process, to think in linear ways. And it's more about that problem solving. And that's one of the key things is that if you have somebody, and I thought I saw a little note in here, but if you have somebody that you're trying to help through this, help them to understand that by going back and learning all the pieces of what somebody that is in the position that they want to be in has done, that once they learn that, they don't have to go through it. And that's one key thing, is that you don't personally have to go through it. The best way to learn is to learn from other people's experiences, losses, failures, whatever it is. But you have to learn what those are, and you have to go back and see what it is that they did to get to where they're at, and then repeat it. That's what I meant by the exponential speed at which you can get to that level, is because now you don't have to do everything that they had to do to get there. And I wish I would have learned that a long time ago.
Me too, Ted. And I really, when I go back, I remember I had one job, and when I started it, I was in training, and on the first day of training, on the floor, taking live calls from clients. These were corporate clients, business owners. I left at lunch and I was like crying, and I was like, I'm not going back. This is not for me. And I'm so glad that I actually did go back after lunch, because it wasn't as bad as I had created it in my mind. I think also we get so frustrated and we shut ourselves off from seeing how much of a blessing anything that you do really and what it can contribute, to your life path. Yeah, somebody was asking you, Ted, or asking us, I have a grandson that thinks the way I can't convince him to start from the bottom up. He doesn't want to. So I think she's saying she has a grandson that doesn't want to start from the bottom up. But
nobody wants to. Nobody wants to. But the key piece is that we were just talking about is help him, instead of saying you have to start at the bottom, help him understand it's like, all right, so you want to be there. Who is at the level you want to be at?
Right.
And what did they have to do in order to get there? And that's the way to really approach it, because you're not telling them, no, you can't. What you're doing is you're telling them, here's what you have to do to get there. And that's a huge difference. I am that person. If you tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to fight you tooth and nail. And I'm going to do everything I can to prove you wrong.
Me too. And that's that. Like, when I started into this, I got a lot of backlash, in the spiritual world from spiritual people that were doing this before me, and people that were just, in it. And I never gave up. I continued, because it's on your path to success. You're going to find a lot of resistance, rejection. You're going to find a lot of naysayers and people who don't believe in you, but you have to give it your all and have that vision for yourself, a vision board, or some type of vision of what you want to achieve, and you're going to achieve it, but you have to, it's not going to be comfortable. It's going to be everything but comfortable, but you will reap those rewards at some point. And it starts, when you start reaping those rewards, it feels very fruitful, it feels fulfilling, and it feels like you've come full circle. So,
Ray, one thing I think is funny is that in one of my episodes with Buffy O'Neill, she brought up something that has resonated with me for a long time. Is that she says there are going to be people that like you and want you to do well, and there are going to be people that don't like you and don't want you to do well. No matter what you do, you're always going to have those two people. So do what you want to do and what makes you happy, because you're always going to have both kinds of people.
I love that. And it's so true, Ted. It's so true. And that's something that I'm learning. I'm continuing to learn. I don't have all the answers to my path of success and to where I'm at right now, but I know the sky's the limit, and I'm going to continue to
why are you stopping at the sky? Why are you stopping at the sky?
The galaxy. I love that. See, you always take me outside and kind of like blow my mind where I'm going outside of my little comfort zone. And it's true. It's true. That's why I admire you. And she says, I read that in your blog, Ray, and it really resonated. Well, thank you so much. Ted, I wanted to go ahead and jump into a different subject about your books. I know that you review a lot of books, a lot of literature. I guess my question is a two-part question. I want to ask you, is there a Ted Huff book being in the works in the future?
Not yet. I haven't gotten to the point where I feel like my message is clear enough to write a book, but it eventually, I can't stop it from happening. I know it'll eventually happen, but just the message isn't quite clear enough to be able to help anybody.
And what book are you reading right now that you find very inspirational? Like what books would you recommend to the audience listening today?
Oh my goodness!
Or
there's so many.
Do you prefer ebooks more than actual physical hardcover books? Or what is your preference?
So publishers love me because I like to have a physical book, I like to have an ebook, and I like to have an audio book.
Yeah.
And because the way that I like to consume information is I like to have the visual, and I love to have the auditory at the same time. I can read faster, comprehend better, and everything if I have the words in front of me and I have somebody speaking the words to me at the same time. And so my level of comprehension just gets huge on that. I would say the book that has had it's more of a collection. It's not an individual book that has had the biggest impact on me so far this year. Now I'm in the middle of another book that may just take the cake, but this one so far has been the most one. It's Neville Goddard, NEVILLE GODDARD, and it's called The Complete Collection. If you're curious about it, go to tedhuff.com/library, and the book will be right there. It is changed my perspective on so many different things, and it really helps you to position the mindset that you need in order to truly manifest things.
Awesome. That's really great. And so you said you are into audiobooks and physical copies. I love reading a physical copy. I guess because the age that I grew up in, we didn't have a lot of the audiobooks where we do now. And when I wrote my book, Starseed Footsteps, which is also available in Ted's library, I think, and on my website, that book itself, people still are asking me for an ebook or an audiobook, and I don't want to release it that way. And the reason for that is because I feel like a lot of times it's easier to have something physical or tangible in your hands, and it's
Ray, you just haven't found the right voice for your book yet. But hey, so Heath and Nicole brought up something else here in the comments. Definitely find 4 people that are influential to you.
Yes.
Buy their books, read their books, and of course follow their podcasts. The Ted Huff Show, you've got to follow it. Thanks, Nicole, for bringing that up.
Yes, and thank you, Colin or Cole. Yes, and guys, be sure, I wanted to just take a moment right now. If you have not yet subscribed to Ted Huff's YouTube channel and to his website, please go ahead and sign up on his website, subscribe to it, and go to his YouTube channel and hit that red subscribe button as well as the notification bell icon on the bottom right-hand corner. That way, anytime he pushes out a new video, you will automatically be notified, and you can look at this at any time. You don't have to look at it right then and there, although that would be nice. But, we are all busy, and if you can't, go back later and listen to it. I believe, and I really believe in Ted. I believe in his mission, and I believe in everything that he's doing. And all of these shows, you can grab a little snippet out of every single episode and apply something from that show to your life and learn something new, because we're always learning something new. We are always on the path to learning something new. I want to go ahead and ask you about paranormal things, and I know that you're probably like, oh darn, Raymond's gonna
Ray, I was trying to keep you from going there. Hey, and everybody, if you're trying to find me, be sure to type TEDDHUFF. So double F double D, and that's the easiest way to find me.
I'm going to be posting the links also on this podcast that we're doing today. This is going to be on the IGTV. It may be in segments, but it will also be on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to see a way to get it to Ted. I think you can record it off of your phone, right, Ted, and put it on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I haven't been recording it, but just go ahead and send it over to me. I'll help you with that one.
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll find a way to send it to you. But going to my question about the paranormal, being that I'm a psychic medium, I wanted to know, I'm just curious, have you had, because I know that when you were in the military, you may have traveled and been in odd places where there was a lot of death maybe experienced, or just, on your everyday, now that, you are 21 years old,
Yep. Sure. Well, we'll go with that.
Have you had any paranormal experiences? Or what you would deem as you would archive in the weird file?
Oh, I've had plenty of weird file moments. The weird thing for me is that I have always felt things, always seen things, and I work really, really hard to block it because I do find myself to be extremely sensitive. My wife and both of my kids are very sensitive as well. So, it's something that I work hard to block, because if I don't, then nothing else happens. And so I'm trying to think of one weird thing. I think going back, I'm going to go way back, Ray. I think I was like 12 years old.
Right.
And when you're 12 years old and someone talks to you about a spirit board and you're like, all right, cool, let's try this thing out.
Oh my God. You're talking about a Ouija board, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, this thing can't be real, right? I'm like, this can't be real. And I'm always yeah, so this thing can't be real. So we're sitting there and it's me and a couple other friends, and one of the kids, says, "Oh, spirits, guides, devils, demons." He went off on this tangent, right? And just said, "Can somebody show us that you're there?" And so we're sitting there,
Mhm.
and I just get this chill through my body as we're sitting there.
Oh my God.
And the little, it was one of those, like, oh my gosh, what was the game company that came out one? Milton
Uh,
Br-
was it Warner something or Warner? It wasn't Warner Brothers, right? No.
No, but it was like this mass. It was like the people that made like
Yes.
Candyland and all
The
that fun stuff, right?
Monopoly guys, right? Wasn't it the ones
Yeah,
that owned the Monopoly or created the Monopoly game?
right. So it's
Yeah.
one of those cheap ones you bought at like Kmart at the time, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know who Kmart is, it's like the old version, closed down version of Walmart. Jaspro, yes, thank you. I've been Abby
Thank you.
27. Thank you.
Yes.
Or was it Milton Bradley? Oh my gosh,
High
everybody's throwing
spiritual
them all
wealth.
out there. Um, but the funny part is we're sitting there and it's the cheap one, right? So it's not there's really no energy in it.
Right.
So we're sitting there and like the guys like everybody's like nothing's happening, nothing's happening. It's one guy's like, you've got to show us the sign. And that's when I had the chill and that night, and I know, I think about it now. There was a moon out. I don't know what kind of a moon, whether it was a wax or a crescent or a full. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I sit back, and after we're done, I'm like, all right, well, that was just weird. Nothing happened. And I look up at the sky,
Mm-hmm.
and the clouds are doing this swirl,
Wow.
like directly over the top of us. And from that point there, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not
So
doing that
weird.
again. Not doing that again.
I love that story, and it's like that kind of shut. Would you say that kind of like shut you off, like going forward from anything with the spiritual world?
Oh yeah, I mean, because like right now, my wife loves to watch the Ghost Adventure shows and all that fun stuff. I can't watch it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's interesting to me, but I can't watch it because I can start to feel
Yes.
some of the things that are going on, even though I'm not there. And it's just it's not fun for me. It's not fun
And
for me.
there's nothing wrong with that, because I feel like a lot of people you're a sensitive yourself, and when I mean sensitive, I mean like an empath, someone that feels a lot of energy or emotions or energy all around you. And there's a lot of empaths that are very sensitive that don't watch horror movies, that don't go to the theaters and watch something that's gory or something about ghosts or the occult, because again, they have this sensitivity that it's going to affect them, and they just don't want to, they want to avoid that. And I think that's a healthy thing. And Pink Puffin 5 says, I feel I am. So yeah, like, don't be
If
ashamed.
you if you
There's no
think you
shame.
are, you probably are.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be ashamed. There's no shame at all in being a sensitive or an empath. And, not wanting to be involved into the world of the paranormal, etc. The world of the paranormal there's many facets. It's not just about spirits. It's not just about Ouija boards. Like Ted said, there's different aspects to it. There's yoga. That's part of spirituality. There's, learning different types of meditation. So there's a
Yep.
lot of different facets in the world of
Yeah.
spirituality. But I was just curious. I wanted to ask you that, and I'm so glad. Guys, let's go ahead. I'm going to ask
Hey, can
Ted
can I
what.
can I answer the research for everything 629's question about do
Sure.
you believe that drinking alcohol opens up the gateways for spirits to come through? So here's my personal take on it from experience with myself and others that I'm close to. Alcohol can allow you to disconnect, and it can also magnify. It depends on if you feel it all day, every day, it's going to allow you to disconnect. It's going to blur the lines. Just like, when you blurs your vision, it'll blur that vision as well. It blurs the third eye at the same time. But if you don't see it without the alcohol, it's going to have a magnifying effect, at least from the experience that I've had with myself and other friends.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like when someone's it kind of puts you in an altered state of consciousness, and it can kind of make you very relaxed. And typically when people are relaxed and in a different state, that can actually open up the gateways, like that said, to be, being more susceptible to seeing spirits or having some kind of paranormal experience.
Sorry, Ray, go ahead with your question. I just saw that, because that's
No,
something
that's
I've
fine.
experienced and a lot of my friends experience as well, and I thought we'd hit on that.
I'm just looking at I have my little cheat sheet here of the questions. This is raw. It's not going to be edited. So I'm just keeping it real here. I guess the last question that I would ask you is, like, if you could give any advice to anyone that is starting up their business and they're not sure really, they don't have like a blueprint or, a set mentor or someone they can look up to, what kind of advice would you give them to push through and just do it?
Wow. I this is actually a difficult one, because I don't agree with just doing it.
Right.
I think the just do it, or the action that you need to take, is to self-educate yourself as much about the process as possible.
Right.
And while you're self-educating, social media is one of the best ways. As you've self-educated, or you find those, as we mentioned earlier, find the people that are influential to what you want to do, follow them, learn from them, and at the same time, start taking the steps to get towards that. But whatever you do, don't just jump in head first thinking that everything is going to work. You'll actually, on the episode that I release tomorrow, you'll hear what happens when you go head first into building a business without having a real purpose behind it, other than to have a business or to follow a passion. Elvis Del Rio's on tomorrow, and he definitely goes through it very, very well.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I'm going to have to watch that episode. I have it already. Where, guys, if you can, when Ted premieres a video on YouTube, you can hit, if you click on his video, you can hit like a reminder so that you can be reminded as well and alerted when that video comes out. But like Ted said, align yourself with people who are in your field. Let's say you want to get into being a baker, and you want to start baking cakes, but you don't know anything about it. Go to Instagram, use that as a resource, the hashtag. Look at
Instagram and YouTube,
like baker, cakes, bakery, and then start following these people. And after you start following them, if you're very shy, you need to step outside of that shyness and go and message them. Have a conversation with like-minded people. Open yourself up to these experiences, because if you don't, then you're not going to know anything about it. You need to do extensive research, like Ted said, and it cannot be the mentality, I want to go into this because it's going to just give me the money that I want to earn. It's not all about money. It's about following a passion and loving it, because at the end of the day, even though it may produce and yield you those results that you want on a monetary level, it's not going to make you happy. There's going to be a lot of things that you may not be providing your client or your audience that could change. You could do better. We can always strive for better. So
I'm going to put another plug in for this show. If you do want, he's talking about bakers. If you want to find out about how somebody went from software to soft bread, I interviewed a artisanal baker, James Prisball, in one of my early episodes. He was actually one of the first ones to get the dual camera treatment. So check that out. And he's always looking for people. If you want to learn how to bake sourdough bread and you're near the Phoenix area, this guy is the guy, and I can definitely get you set up to learn how to bake sourdough bread with that man.
Awesome. And I'm going to open it up now to the audience, Ted. If y'all have any questions for Ted, please comment in the comment section here. I'm going to be going through. Somebody, Vladette, asked, what is a good way to shield from negative energies, or if you are sensitive? For me personally, it would be, meditating. You can also use crystals. I believe in crystals like black tourmaline, obsidian, selenite. These are just things, but just stay away from them if you can. If you're working with some negative people, try to, like Ted said, find out what's the root cause. Maybe see if you can help them change or kind of, mesh in. And if you find out that it's very toxic and you just can't, the best thing is to kind of isolate yourself away from them. At least that would be the advice that I would give. Ted, what kind of advice would you give?
I guess I would look at, for me, meditation has been huge.
Yeah.
And I can't give it enough credit. Shielding yourself, if you can figure out how to leverage your mind and be able to get your focus, that will help so much when that negativity starts to come around. Also goes back to what we talked about earlier, is when that happens, figure out why you're feeling that negative emotion.
Right.
Stop, figure it out, understand why, and then, and as my friend Henry Amar says, he goes, he mentioned this yesterday in the pop-up workshop we did yesterday, but he's like, if you guys know who the Care Bears are, remember they do the Care Bear stare, right?
Yeah, they shoot the power out, the light,
right?
Their bellies.
So what you want to do is just picture them, because they probably, and I'm stealing from Henry here, but because I love some of the stuff that he talks about, but they probably don't have the emotional tools to deal with what's going on in their life. So if they're reacting that way, you want to look at it as like, if they had the emotional tools to deal with that in their life, how would they be acting? And then what you do is use that Care Bear power stare and focus on them with believing that they have the tools to deal with what's causing that pain, to cause them to act that way. And you just push that energy towards them. And after a few times, you'll be amazed at how their attitude changes towards you. It may not change towards anybody else, but it will change towards you.
Showing them kindness and the opposite of what they're showing you sometimes triggers a different reaction to them, other people. But Ted, somebody's asking you, do you hold YouTube lives or Instagram lives?
So this is the first Instagram live interview that I've done. So Ray, you
I got him out of the shell.
You did. But no, that's something I'll probably be doing a little bit more often. But I do typically, when I do record an episode of the Ted Huff Show, I typically throw it up on Instagram Live so you guys can get a sneak peek in. But thanks, Pink
somebody said you should, Ted. You should.
Thanks,
Ted.
Pink Dolphin.
So I love it. I'm really so grateful, Ted, for having you on today. And I wish you, Jen, and your beautiful kids a wonderful trip to Disney. And just have a grateful experience. Know that you've touched my life and you've changed my life for the better. And I'm so glad to call you a mentor. Even though you may not consider yourself as my mentor, I really consider you as my mentor. And guys, if you are needing some advice from Ted, DM him, like he said, like I said, go to his website. It's www.tedhuff.com. I'm going to be putting a swipe up link in my bio, so in my Instagram story, so that you can just swipe up and go and subscribe. Go to his YouTube and hit that red subscribe button. I'm just laughing. I'm looking at Colleen's comment, and then just hit that red button and that the notification bell icon. Ted, is there anything you'd like to say to wrap it up?
The only thing that I would like to just to remind everybody is that you have the ability to control your environment. You may not be able to control the things that other people do, but you can always control the way that you take things. And remember reacting, and I'm going to steal from our friend Henry again,